how to edit what you have done. So the clicker, the shutter, the remote shutter has helped a lot, but sometimes there are things you need to edit. You need to have, it's another option. I haven't done it yet, so I'm going to learn it. Apparently with Mac users, it's called iMovie. And for people who know how to do it, it's easy. I don't know how to do it yet. Somebody showed me, but I haven't. I'm one of those people like, tell me what it is, and then I will learn slower later. Sometimes I can't get it right in the moment, but you want to be able to do that. So if you are doing editing like reels and stuff, you can do it yourself. All right. You should be taking classes online. When I first started doing it, I did it because my students begged me to do it. And I was like, nobody can touch, I can't have them hold hands. I can't have them embrace. I don't know if I want to do this. I have learned so much and they have learned so much. They are comfortable with this format. And you need to become comfortable. Now, with my classes, I'm pitching my classes. In my classes, I'm charging half price because I don't feel it's the same. But I'm not the only teacher. Everybody is cutting their prices right now. Everybody is trying to help. I'm trying to help you, but I'm also trying to get a little income for myself. But I know that. I told you, my 2 theaters, they're totally empty. So these are places to look for free classes. If you're in any unions, I took some classes with Actors Equity. I've been taking SAG-AFTRA, just there are a lot of, it's all over the place to look for free classes or very, very low costing. And then like I learned, and you're never too late to learn, even if you think you know everything. So I took a class, it's interesting, I took 2 classes for the same subject. I took a class on how to do your resume. And I took another class that had to do with your reels. And one I took from Actors Equity and one I took from SAG-AFTRA. They were very different. And since I'm here in LA, I am doing some stage, but that's not, when I lived in New York, I'm from New York, I needed the New York ones, but I liked the sound of it. But now, the resumes right now for TV and film, I got tons of things to change now. I'm also on Instagram. And I did a short thing. I usually do like under a minute on Instagram. And it was talking about, this is so important. This is not tech at all. There isn't anybody, any celebrity you can think of, anybody who isn't going through something that has to do with this pandemic rather. And so I called up, this is how I learned things by accident sometimes. I called up an old friend / he's an attorney and he's done work, and then we kind of became friends afterwards. I called him up out of the blue to find out how he was doing. And from there I went, so Joy, you have no fear calling up an attorney, but you're going, oh, I don't want to call up my agent. I mean, because they'll think I'm begging for something, or, oh, I can't call up a casting director. I'm going, what? Yes. Everybody is suffering, or some are doing better than others. So I started doing that. I called up my agent. Well, I have more than one. You probably have manager. You might have 2 agents or 1 agent, depending. Call them up, and they know if there's a job offering, you're interested. They know that. So it's really just to talk to them, just to talk to them. And then after that, I started to get more brave with doing other things. So it was, and I think actors a lot of times don't have, I don't want to say self-esteem. I think it has to do with self-confidence or something. So, and sometimes you get a gift back. So it was, I know April Webster when she was just starting out. And it was her birthday. I saw it on Facebook. And I said something like, happy birthday, April. You've come so far. I'm delighted to have seen your journey, or something like that. And all she did, you know, how many do you think she's casting director, one of the biggest ones in town. How many happy birthdays do you think she gets? Thousands. All she did was say, thank you, Joy. She made it personal.
Yeah.
And I went, Joy, there's something to learn from this, because I'm also an actor. That everybody's the same. Everybody wants to be healthy. Look where we are. Everybody needs a little money in the bank. Look where we are. Everybody wants to be happy, and nobody wants to be sequestered forever. Okay, so there's a lot of common ground, and everybody has friends and relatives and pets, and just, you know. And when's the last time you went to a barbecue? I mean, there's so many. You can talk about the little nothings are the things that make relationships.
Mm.
So I want to encourage you to not call your attorney. You can call your, but that's how I learned it, was just by calling him. Went, how come I'm not afraid to call? There's a high-powered attorney. You know, there's no reason. You know, and I met him as a stranger. We just became friends because my father was an attorney. He reminded me, there was things about him that reminded me of my father. He's very, very warm and kind of like a daddy kind of guy, and very thorough and personable. And so you make your own relationship. So I just want to encourage you to do that. Okay. All right. Now, all this free time we have, if you have any reel at all, look at it. What needs to come out? It's dated.
Yeah.
What do you need now with what we can do with these things? Every person's out of work almost. Who do you have that's a friend that could help you make a small little demo tape? The whole thing shouldn't be more than 3 or 4 minutes at the most, and you're lucky if they look at all of that. This is the time. And I'm also just going to, again, it's kind of a pitch, even though I said we need to learn to edit ourselves. This goes back to when everybody's being discounted. So I have a friend who does he's not a friend. He's a friend because I learned to know him. His name is James Lane. He does editing. He makes it, even if it's the smallest little thing you've ever, he makes it look like it's all about you. He charges $50 an hour, which is not unreasonable if somebody's really good. But guess what? It's a pandemic right now. You know what he's charging? $25 an hour.
Oh my gosh, that's nothing.
Yeah, his name is James Lane. Look him up. And I redid all my reels. And because I've been so slow with it, the tech stuff, it keeps getting remodern. Everything changes. And he said, Joy, you know, I'm going to have to not start over. I still have your originals, but I'm going to have to, I said, just do it, because it cost me under $50 to have everything done, because he did it in less than 2 hours, because he's really good. So look him up. You know what? Hang on. See, this is because I'm in my house. I can do this. See, there's advantages to be there. Okay. Does it come up inside out, upside down if I do it this way?
No, that looks great.
Yeah, I can see.
Call him. I mean, I really do recommend him, and a lot of my students go to. I don't get a kickback, so I just want you to know this is on the what do you call it, on the legit. Okay, he's really good. He's a really nice guy. Okay. If you couldn't read it, it's Trim Picture at Gmail.
Okay.
Trim Picture at Gmail, and 323-842-0704. And I didn't have to see him. You send things to him. You don't have to go in person anymore. I used to meet him at a coffee shop and give him my stuff. Now everything's done. What did you say? 5 minutes?
10.
10? Okay. Let me hurry up. No, I'm actually winding down. I just want to show you everything I got. I want to give it to you if I can. Okay. On the same kind of a subject. I want you to look at every single place you have your pictures, resumes, and reels. So IMDb Pro, Actors Access, LA Casting, Casting Frontier. I just did that. I had, well, it wasn't as bad as when I used to keep on all my children's theater. I've gotten rid of all of those. But get your new stuff on. Get it in order. Get everything so it looks up to date. Okay. What did I say? If I could be read. Okay, I'm going to wind down now. Okay. So I want everybody to practice your cold reading, because so much of stuff's got to be done to the lens, right? Then all you do, it's like, don't try to be a good actor. All you do is you take any material, which means it can be, a script. I'm working on a script.
Mhm.
Or it can be a magazine, a book. It doesn't matter. You're not trying to be a good actor. You're taking your eyes to the gym. You want it so that when you are reading something, you are looking into the lens most of the time, not the page. Because again, there's nobody in the room. So what you're sending, what you're auditioning is what you sent either via this or some other way. There's no casting director in there seeing different views of you. So I'm just going to show you how you do it. You let your eyes drop down to see as much of the line, the words, as is comfortable for you. Don't try to do 10, try to do 3 or 4, whatever's comfortable. And you don't open your mouth till you look into the lens. So it's, he sold the business. No, Frank passed away a couple of years ago. Walter is stunned. He is speechless for a few beats while the woman studies him, not hiding her interest in his reaction. I'm not trying to be a good actor. I was reading this, the stuff that's
The
not even the
stage
actor
directions.
stuff. The instructions. It's not about that. It's not about that. It's about taking your eyes to the gym. Because when I'm reading with somebody and I'm actually doing the scene, I want to be riveted on that other person. And I want to be secure enough that if I'm doing a scene with David and I say my line, I know he says the next line. If I know I'm going to be good at cold reading, I know how to get it off the page. When I finish saying my line, how are you? I'm not going to do what I call cheat, which is go down here and see what my next line is. No, because I want to react to what I'm getting from David. So I say, how are you? And I stay. And then he says, I feel awful. I go back down and go, oh, I feel so bad about that. Is your sister coming? Yeah, I'm making it. The point is, you want to be comfortable. You want to be more comfortable. You want to be wanting to look at the other person, and your whole being has to want to look at the other person more than getting the page, the stuff off the page. This isn't going anywhere. It's staying right here. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to cheat. And if you cheat, what if when I said, how are you, a tear comes out of David's eye? But I'm here cheating to get my next line. I miss it. I miss it. Now I'm responding to the page and what's here instead of responding to David and what gems and emotional gems I'm talking about that he may have given me, and I would have not seen it. So this is the one thing I tell my students this all the time. And if you're an acting coach like I am, I know if you've done this or not. I always know. You can't say, well, yeah, I did. No, you didn't. I know you didn't. So what I'm saying is that's the one thing. Do it 10 minutes. Originally, I used to say 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, but I'm a realist. 10 minutes a day. But I do my 10 minutes a day every single morning at the same time. I have my tea. I have my whatever I'm reading. It's usually a book. Sometimes it's an inspirational page, and I do it first thing. Because if I wait, life, even with the pandemic, even with all the stuff, life happens and it's midnight and I never did it. You have to practice. You will be light years ahead of other people, because imagine if everything's going to be put on either this or that, and you're here. I mean, you're getting the top of my head.
It's going to the acting gym. It's just like getting on my bike that I built a month ago.
So that's the gist of what I had. I'm trying to give you stuff that I'm just so excited because I thought I had to wait. I have to wait for the pandemic to be able to wait. I don't. There's so many things to do. I didn't even mention half of the stuff that you can do. I mean, it's just, you guys may know, but I need to learn how to be very happy with how to use Dropbox and Airbox and WeTransfer, so I can send these things out and not have to call a student. So I still have lots to learn, but I'm saying there's a lot of things to do right now during the pandemic. And if you start doing that more, I know I have to take it off. If you start doing more now, it'll be easy later. Okay, I'm so happy. Right, I was going to leave some time for questions. Do we have any time? Probably not.
Yeah, we have time for questions.
Yay. Okay, all right. So I'm ready to take any questions from anybody. about anything. And if I don't know, I'll tell you.
Well, I had one, and
Okay.
it was at the beginning about the intimacy.
Yes.
Of course, we have and you explained it too, and I got a lot of it. Like when you're really connected, you could still be there with that person.
Yes.
But how do you break through it? How is it, I mean, for me, I just want to hug.
I know.
How do you get there? How do you even break through that screen?
Well, it's what I read. It has to do with, it's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice. If like, I know you, but I don't know anyone else here. But like, if I was doing something with Bernard, I have to make the choice that I am going to invite him into that personal space. I am going to do it. I have to want to know Bernard better and invite him into my personal space and really see him. And that's why I don't want people looking at the script. I want them really looking at the person as much as possible.
Right.
It's an invitation. I'm inviting Bernard into my personal space. And then I talk about it, absorbing that person rather than observing. Huge difference. Observing is I'll see what he looks like and his features and whatever, but absorbing means, and it'll just happen to you. It'll just happen, David, if you're really absorbing them, as opposed to there's something kind of, there's a distance when you're observing. So I can tell you what you're feeling, but I don't feel what you're feeling. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So does that answer kind of?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you won't be thinking about it. You won't be thinking about you. When you let somebody into your personal space, you're not thinking about you. I'm thinking about David or Bernard or whoever. More questions?
Yes, I have a question. If I do like one day have a audition, like if we're in this like FaceTiming, like you said, like to use bed sheets behind, and like can I also like point the camera at me while the background is looking at at my wall? Is that like, does that help?
If I'm understanding what you're asking me, and I'm not sure I am, your backdrop needs to be plain.
Yes.
You can sometimes, like if it's taking place in a living room, you might be able to use it, but I still think that can be distracting.
Okay.
And I saw somebody's audition tape on something. Make sure there are no animals in your house when you're taping. There was this cute little kitten. It totally stole the show. So if that's the question, yes. This in Zoom, it's a personal thing, so I'm allowing you to see my home. But if I'm doing an audition, even on Zoom, it's going to be a plain backdrop. Does that answer, Bernard?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And just get a sheet, or go to Michael's and just get the material. I went to Michael's and ordered them, just got the material. It was so cheap. It cost almost nothing. And I got exactly the color I want. What do I want? A set of pillowcases and 2 sheets. I only need 1.
Now, here's a question too. If on that other wall there, it's completely blank, then you could possibly use that?
Yes, absolutely. It's interesting because in another place that I'm at quite often, in an office space, there's a whole wall that's kind of a beige, and that works fine. And the one that I have at the theater, I do my stuff at the theater because I have light already there. I already have theater film light in there. Yeah. I have a pale turquoise, paler than this. So yeah, you can use, and you can use different colors depending on how you want to be seen. I mean, royal blue has become very popular, but it can take a lot of focus. I saw a very dark-skinned African-American that looked dynamite, but I think I would get lost in it because I'm all pale. So you have to look and see what you look good in, right? I mean, like where I might have split, I don't want that, but it's okay for intimacy in this, teaching intimacy. Anybody, anything else? I like questions.
I was wondering about something.
Yes.
So, do you ever get nervous at auditions, and how do you deal with that if you do?
Well, you know what? Are you talking, well, let me be specific. Are you talking about what we're doing now, this stuff? Or are you talking about when it was brick and mortars?
I mean, I think I think it's more generally speaking like going to an audition, and I mean, I guess I'm thinking more of when it was more in person, but I think I get nervous like in at other kinds of auditions too.
Okay, there's a couple things. I think one of the things that I've learned it for myself, and I told you, Jacob,
Jacob,
yeah,
yeah.
Jacob, that when I started memorizing, I felt free. There's a freedom in knowing your lines that you know it, so you're not going, am I going to go up on my lines? And then when I start thinking about going up on my lines, I just left who I am and what I want in the scene and who you are and all of that. So that's number one. And number two, this is psychology, but it's that when you go in for an audition, especially, well, even if you're sending it in, that casting director has been hired to find actors for these roles. So I think of myself of being of service to them. Not, oh, dear God, let them like, no, I'm here. You have a problem. I am here to help you with your problem. So it's, again, it's attention about how I'm going to help them as opposed to them picking me. And you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's a totally different psychological thing. Now, of course, just before you do the audition, you're thinking about what you want in the scene and stuff like that. But in terms of the nervousness, that helps a lot. But for me, and I'm speaking for me because you're a different individual, memorizing made a huge, huge difference. I still carry it just in case, but very rarely do I use it. And if I need it, stay in character while you're finding it. So it's mostly attention away from yourself on the other person, whether it's to be of service or what you want in the scene. When the attention's on the other person, you're not nervous because nervousness is about you.
Hmm. I get what you're
It's
saying.
attention on the other person, the nerves go away. Got it? Cool.
Cool.
Good.
Sounds really great. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Anything else? No?
Janetta, you have one?
Um, um, hmm. I had a question, but it like went away. Um, how do you go about okay, you said about memorizing. How did you was it self-taught or did you like do something that helped you memorize lines?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
And I will tell you how I do it. And everybody has different ways. I'm going to tell you the way I don't do it, but a lot of young people do it this way, which is there's different apps on this where you can give the lines in and they will give them back to you. I don't do it that way because I do it the old way. The old-fashioned way is when the first line is Franklin around? That's the first thing. And I say, no, Frank passed a couple of years ago. There's two things in there to help me remember it. The first one is, he says, is Franklin around? And I answer, no. So it's a logical. Is somebody asking me something there's a logical answer? It's a question, is he around? The answer is no, he's not. That's logical. And then he said Franklin around, and I say, no, Frank. So even though it's not Franklin, I'm still saying the same word, Frank and Frank. Franklin passed away a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Next sentence he says is, you called him Franklin. Again, logical, I say yes, because I did, right? And then you have blind cues, like you called him, only people early in his life called him Franklin. And then the other person says, are you his wife? So that's just, you got to remember it. That's what you call a blind cue. But there's so much stuff that's either repetition or, like I went to the store, I bought milk, I didn't have the money. I. Sometimes it's in the middle. So I do have things like that help me memorize. And the other thing is imaging. When sometimes actors see a big paragraph and they go, a big paragraph. A lot of big paragraphs or even shorter ones, if they're descriptive, I image it. if it's something that happened to you in a firehouse, I picture the firehouse and the events that happened logically that are in the script, and it makes it much easier than trying to do it rote. Now, I have some rote tricks too, but those are my major ones that have to do with word association, logic, imaging, and then I personally, I still do this. I've been doing this since I first started 90 years ago this way, so I see how much I actually do know. And I don't go to the second page until I know the first. Because otherwise it becomes a whole mishmash of a whole bunch of pages that I don't really know any of them. So I'd rather go slowly and know the first page and really know it than go on to the second till I'm ready.
That's when you start memorizing it.
That's how I memorize. And
That's
those,
when
yeah.
you memorize it.
While I'm memorizing, I'm looking at, it says Frank and then Franklin. It says, she asked me, do I know him? And my answer is no. That's logic. I do it while I'm memorizing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question.
Thank you. It did. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Natalie Oden?
I don't have any questions.
Cool. That's fine with me. How about you, David?
I just want to thank you for you, because I've taken your class on and off for years.
Many.
And whenever I go to your class, I feel invigorated, and I feel that I get to that next level quicker. So you have so much to offer so many people, and I'm so blessed.
Well, I love doing it. And if anyone wants to check me out, go to closeupacting.com.